Absolutely.
Good morning. Thank you everybody for joining us for the Military Family Community Network. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Marcy Caulfield. I'm the National Guard Family Program's Family Readiness and Program Manager. And I'd like to first introduce our fearless leader for some opening comments.
Fearless, I don't know about that, but good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those folks that are online, the phone, as well as by your computer. Welcome to those who have been here before and those who are brand new here. So you've seen the agenda, and I think that now more than ever, we need these type of therapies. I think that given everything that's going on in the world, what's happening right now down in Florida, what happened to Asheville, a few weeks ago, I just think that we are really needing to take care of our mind, body, and spirit. And whether that is doing something physical, or maybe meditation, or anything like that, or faith-based activities, we really need to take care of ourselves because there are so many pressures and so many stressors on us. And we're seeing it all around the country, state, country, and world. So I'm really happy to have this agenda for this meeting. And so I hope everyone has a good day. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
So before our first guest speaker, we're just going to quickly go around the room. If you could introduce yourself. Ms. Buckley is going to go around as Vera and introduce yourself and how you're affiliated. And then after those in the room, we will go to those on the phone.
Hi, Dan McNerney, Military Family Readiness Specialist.
Hello, Chaplain Stuepfert, full-time support chaplain here in Vermont.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm with Norwich. I work with the athletic teams.
My name is Dennis. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at Norwich. Major Kaylin Duncan, Associate Director of Recruitment and Leadership at Norwich University. Chris Russell from Martins Point Healthcare, U.S. Family Health Plan. Rick Daigle from Vermont Veterans Outreach.
Captain Stein, 186 PSV.
Kristen Eaton with Vets Town Hall.
Sergeant First Class Smith with 186 BSB.
Megan Sadler, Personal Financial Counselor for the Vermont National Guard.
Susan Demers, Transition Assistance Advisor.
Colin O'Reilly, Survivor Outreach Services.
Jesse Smith, I'm the State Soldier Family Readiness Group Leader.
John Mingo, Military Family Readiness for Rutland, Addison, and Bennington counties.
Good morning, Charlene Cayano, Vermont Veterans Mental Health Counselor.
Scott Bushy, Military Family Readiness Specialist for Chittenden County.
Evan Brown, Military Family Readiness Specialist based in White River Junction.
Tammy Langlois, Airman Family Readiness at the 158th Fighter Wing.
Alex Whitney, Norwich Athletics.
Samantha Fontaine, registered yoga teacher.
Jeremiah Paquette, Media Specialist.
Susan Triplett, Vermont Veterans Outreach. I'm the new person for White River Junction.
Miriam, Boyle, Director of Family Programs for the Vermont National Guard.
Diane, Stockton-Breese with Rainbow Riding Center.
Hi, I'm Darlene Poore, and I'm the Vice President of the Board of Directors at Rainbow Riding Center and a volunteer.
Good morning. Like I said, Marcy Caulfield, Family Readiness and Program Manager. And now we'll transition to those on the phone. Who's on the phone with us?
Morgan. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Morgan Langlois for the first step.
Hi,
Covering Loyal, Caledonia, New Orleans, and
is part of Washington County.
Hi, Morgan.
This is Cardi out of Williston. Big Wolf, Better Outreach, Orleans, Essex, and Northern County.
Good morning.
Mike Harden out of Williston, Better Outreach.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
Lucas Lodate, Southeast Vermont Veterans Outreach, representing Greater Windham County and Southern Windsor.
Good morning, Lucas.
Saturday RDG, Veterans Outreach, Chittenden County.
Good morning, Sal.
Hi, good morning. This is Katie Van Hayes, State Director for Senator Bernie Sanders.
Good morning, Katie. All right, I know that there's other people on the call, but maybe there's an audio issue, so we'll capture those names. So let's transition into today's agenda. Miriam definitely went over, thank you, about the overall view of why we're here today to talk about holistic therapies and really outside of the box thinking, and not always knowing what's out there and what's the benefit to our military community if they so choose to do an activity or education. So first on our agenda is Miss Diane.
Thank you so much for having me. I found out about your group through Richard Gallo in Rutland, and we appreciate the opportunity to share about Rainbow Riding Center and the work that we do. We have a PowerPoint presentation which kind of encapsulates everything, and we're available for Q&A afterwards. I just have two quick military stories. My roommate in college was June Heston. I don't know if you knew Mike Heston. And my grandfather fought in World War I, Battle of Vimy, and he wanted to name my mother after the battle, and my grandmother said no. So those are my two military connections. But without any further ado, I want to introduce Darty. She's the vice president of our board. She's a retired special educator and is a huge, huge asset to our organization. And it knows more than me.
We're trying to see whether or not we can get this.
Oh, so
Try
can
this
you
one again.
pin her screen?
I just added Miriam as the min.
We have to show Miriam.
I'm not sure how to transition Miriam.
In the meantime, we're based
They can
in.
see that. They can see it on that screen.
Oh.
There's what they see.
Oh, okay. So we're already there. Yeah, we're based in Belmont, Vermont. That's where the riding center is. That's in Rutland County. Belmont's a village within Mount Holly. And I think our secret sauce is the team of volunteers that we have, many of whom have been working with us for years. We need 3 volunteers for every participant because we need one person to lead the horse and a rider, a volunteer on each side of the riders. They see that one, yeah.
It's not what we see, so.
It's not what we see, but.
Hopefully you can see it. So, all right, we're going to team tag a little bit here. Again, thank you so much for letting us come and share what we do at Rainbow Riding Center. One of the reasons that we're here is that we have historically written and also received grants to provide our services to family members of military folks. So anybody that's been deployed, been a veteran, people within your family, we understand that there are often stressors within the family. Either a parent is gone and the children are a little out of kilter, somebody comes back, they've been away for a while, so that we have to sort of readjust to all of that. A veteran comes back and is feeling overwhelmed, so they have their own needs. So we provide, we'll show you what we do, but a therapeutic horsemanship program. The grants that we have received so far, we've been historically supported by the Caris Real Foundation company in Rutland, and also the M&T Bank. We have recently gotten one as well. So we're constantly looking for more financial support, but we want to thank those two, and also know that when veterans and your military families reach out to us, it is at no cost to the family. So please don't hesitate. And it will only be how much is in our coffers, but we'll do as much as we can. So anyway, who we are. We are local. I want to make sure I'm seeing what you're seeing. So we are a therapeutic horsemanship program. We're located in Belmont, Vermont. It's a beautiful farm that we share with the homeowners. We are a nonprofit, obviously, so we have always been very lucky to be on somebody's property. So somebody sort of envelops us. We get charged like $1 a year to stay with them. And it's a really nice cooperative situation where we do some infrastructure, they benefit from the infrastructure, we share chores around the farm and things like that. So right now we're on a lovely farm called Stonewall Farm in Belmont, and it's actually a stunning facility. So, alrighty, that's us. Yep. And again, I want to make sure that I don't often read PowerPoints, but I only read the mission statement because I think it really is important. So the mission of Rainbow Riding Center is to improve the well-being of individuals with unique physical, emotional, and/or cognitive challenges through a therapeutic equine experience. And in the old days, I think people thought that you had to be significantly motorically involved, somebody with in a wheelchair or something like that, or somebody that had significant challenges to participate in this. And we are having so many more folks that are having social issues that come to us. So it's not sort of, it's a much broader group of people that use our services. And again, this has been a historic, this has been our mission for forever and will continue to be our mission. Yep, thank you. We serve little ones and older ones, so they can be as young as 3, and we have folks up in their 70s as well. Referrals come from a variety of places. We have school referrals, we have mental health referrals, medical referrals. People self-refer. A family will say, boy, I have a little one that's really having some challenges. I'd like him or her to come to the program. So it's self-referred as well. We have basically a 3-pronged program. So we have your military program, we have a school-based program, and we also have therapeutic riding services for folks in the community. And people access that from many different ways. The kids that come from our program are often kind of coming in from 2 different avenues. One is environmental challenges. So these little ones often come from, significant poverty, abuse and neglect in the home, an absence of a parent, violence, those sort of environmental issues. And then we've got the other ones that have much more developmental challenges. They may have cerebral palsy, they may have attention deficit. We have little ones not little ones, we have adults as well as little ones on the autism spectrum. We've had a young man that had a stroke at the age of 9. So a variety of sort of those medical issues, and so those come to our program as well. Our program is always instructed. Our instructor is what they call PATH certified. So that is an international organization that certifies folks so that we know as an organization that we have really high quality instructors for providing our services to the kids. We do assessments, so all of the people that come through, we usually do assessment in the beginning and assessment at the end, and that's really important for us as an organization. We want to make sure what we're doing works. So very, very simple, the rider or the family member or the school may do an assessment for us so they can give us feedback. We also want to make sure that if somebody's giving us financial support, that we can kind of back that up and we have some data saying that, yes, we've had 90% positive responses from school-based folks, from the kids that have been coming to our program. So it's sort of a good self-check for us. Okie dokie. Our curriculum, when you think of horses and riding, you think riding, but it's much more of an overlapping curriculum. So yes, the horse is there, but the horse really is sort of a conduit for all of the things that we do with the kids. It's not necessarily, our goal isn't these, the kids, the adults, the family members that come to us, they don't have to come out a horseback rider. That's not the thing. It's the relationship with that horse. And then integrated within that relationship with the horse are all of the things that we do. So it's there. We have a social skills curriculum, so the kids are learning cooperation and listening and following directions and communicating with one another. So not just riding, it's this sort of interweave of skill development with the kids. And again, somebody had said, well, why horses? Why not somebody else? And some of you may be familiar with horses and some not, but horses are very intuitive, so they say that they can hear a human heartbeat like 10 feet away. So they are an incredibly intuitive animal, and they almost provide a mirror to our participants. So if a little one or one of us, even come in and we're sort of agitated that day, the horse picks up on that, and it's like a mirror. So as we sort of regulate how we're feeling and sort of make that connection with this absolutely stunningly big animal, it's a symbiotic thing. They get really calm. They start, you start seeing their lower lip flip a little bit because they're so comfortable, and their eyes start to flutter. So there's this really wonderful, and there's a really good teaching tool for us as well. So if somebody's very agitated and it's like, well, I wonder how the horse is doing, and as they start to kind of get themselves comfortable and calm, you can see that in the horse as well. So again, a really nice symbiotic thing. And there's for the kids that are the hyperactive kids, the really busy kids, the kids with some motor issues, that kind of rhythmic movement of the horse is absolutely wonderful. It calms kids that have autism. It's really wonderful for kids that have motor issues. So if anyone's an occupational therapist or physical therapist, they love what we do because it's exactly that hard work for the kid, but they don't even know that they're working hard. And again, somebody coming back, a veteran that has some medical issues or some injuries and things like that, perfect for that because it's a wonderful, calming situation, but yet you're working really hard and you don't know you're working hard. So that's why horses. There's a myriad of reasons, but those are a few of them. All right, next one. And I think we talked a little bit about some of the activities. If somebody is worried about getting on a horse, that's not a goal either. We often do an awful lot of things called groundwork, which is just spending as much time as somebody might want touching the horse. We have some kids that are their senses are more alert than ours, and they want to come and they want to smell the horse. I mean, those of us who love horses love the smell of barns, but so we get it. But they'll just sort of lean on the horse, and the warmth of the body and the smell, that's calming. And if a little one wants to spend their whole hour of the lesson brushing the horse, that's fine as well. So it's sort of, we take them where they are. The goal is not becoming a horseback rider. It's developing a relationship with this animal and the trust and the bond and everything like that. So it's fun for everybody. Okay. And again, all of the little ones or all of the riders, I don't want to say little ones because we have pictures of little ones because they're so darn cute, but we have people up in their 70s. So anybody that comes, with the assessment that we do, we try to make all of the activities as individual as possible. So it's not sort of a one-size-fits-all. It's, what that person needs at that time in this space. So all of those activities are that way. And we're going to give you two stories here, just so that you can get a kind of an idea. This is one of our gals. She was 14 years old at this point, significantly developmentally challenged. She was not walking, she was in a wheelchair. She was 14 at that age, and her thinking skills were probably in a 2-year-old level, so really significantly involved. Cortical visual impairment, which means that she really wasn't able to see well at all. It was more of a brain issue. Fine motor, all of that. She was very, very weak. So you can see this is the very early on where we have her on, and it took several people to get her on a ramp down onto the horse, but she has really poor, what we call core strength. I mean, those of you that do the fitness stuff, you understand. She couldn't really maintain any kind of being able to sit up. And one of our wonderful volunteers, which we'll go into volunteers, we have many of them and they do amazing things, helped us develop this bolster for her that went over the front. And that's really where she was. She was just sort of at all right, I'm on and I'm safe because I can lean on this. The hands were just sort of placed, but that's where we started. Okay. Then when we ride with anybody, we always have somebody leading the horse, and the two people on the side are called sidewalkers. With her, we actually had two on each side to make sure that she was safe and she was stable. And then at this one, we're up a little bit. You know, the hands are still not comfortable, but we're up a little bit, and we now have just two sidewalkers, so we're making progress. Now, we're obviously, you can see, we're much more strong in terms of her core. We removed that big bolster. Our wonderful volunteer again drilled holes in the front of our saddle, put a metal bar across, and then wrapped it with a tubing so that if she did go forward, she wouldn't be hurt. But now she's able to hold that way. She would never be able to do a rein, and you know, her fine motor was just not there. But and again, happy, but you can see the progress. Okay, next one. Then, this is called our car wash. So it's a wonderful activity. The kids like to go through it, especially children on the autism spectrum, sensory issues of like all of these colors and sounds going past. But for her, enjoyed it, loved it, and you can see the sidewalkers, I mean, we didn't do that all the time, but to be able to get through, you know, a 6-foot place, we were able to move that far away from her and feel comfortable that she was going to be fine. Okay. And we always do this because this is fun. You know, all of the work that we're doing, we always have to remember that it's all fun. She was having a great time. Everybody that's working with everybody is having a great time. And then the last one for her is a most recent one, which was last summer. So she had an issue with her spine, so that sort of tilt is always going to happen. We will never get her straight, but she's on her own. She's now reaching out for reins and being able to reach up and place them in areas and things like that. So her mother loves it. She loves it. You could hear her. As she was driving towards our facility, she knew where she was. And again, she's blind, but you could hear, she doesn't have any language either, just these like loud giggles as she came down the road because she knew she was close. She knew she was close. So that's Riley's story. And then this is on the other side. This is the other little guy. This is Johnny. Now Johnny was funded in our program through our military funds. His father had been, I believe, a National Guard gentleman and was back and forth, had been deployed, you know, back home for a while, deployed. And things were hectic at home. And on top of that, and Mom's comfortable with us sharing, he had some behavioral issues, was really challenging at home, didn't listen to instructions, had a really hard time focusing, was later on diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, so things were hard for him. He was a whirling dervish, basically. So Mom brought him to us. So for Johnny, it was like, okay, how can we help him integrate all of these movements and to start to focus? And the horse can help do that, so we did some activities that will help him. So we shake up his world a little bit. Instead of going forward, we're going backwards. You know, you can see he's still not quite centered, but, you know, he's feeling more comfortable, but it just sort of throws him off enough. So he has to start kind of thinking about where am I for his own safety and where's my body and space. And you can see we always have age-appropriate activities, so we've got a farm book, and we're going to do some more activities with that. Next one. And then once we kind of get comfy, then we actually start walking backwards. So you can even look now, I mean, he's really focused on what he's doing. He's having a really good time. His body is much more comfortable. He's settled down, and off we go backwards. So, you know, again, very, very different people, but different ways of supporting where they are and where we want them to be able to be. And our last one is kind of another fun one for Johnny that he loved. we did some vaulting stuff. So he was actually, instead of a saddle, it's more of a, not a blanket, but something like that over the horse's back and two big handles. So he's holding onto the handles, but he had to do that, and then we would go next to him, and actually at some point he stood up for a little bit. So again, just throwing off the balance so that he has to really concentrate on what he's doing, and his little sensory system just sort of settles right down, and by the end of the lesson he's much more calm and much more. But the instructor will tell you in the beginning they had to have people really close by, because he would launch himself just like, boom, I'm off. I'm sort of done, you know, kind of thing. He would never tell us, so off he fly. But so that's Johnny. So again, two different, very different stories. And you know, I will read these to you. So these are some of the outcomes. Why are we doing what we're doing? We're developing physical and emotional well-being in all of our riders or participants, not necessarily riders. And we are developing self-confidence and also a sense of achievement. And volunteers. If anybody's down there our way, or if anybody wants to, we always, we have probably about 30 to 40 volunteers. You don't have to be a horse person. We have people come to us that have been riding for forever, and people that have never touched a horse. So we do a significant amount of training, so if anybody's interested, you know, we train you, and we never expect anybody to do anything that they're either not comfortable with or we feel that you're not ready for. But we have people that just come and weed whack. We have people that come and set up fences for us and things like that. So we would be nothing without our volunteers. We really have a part-time development director, and we are just in the process of hiring a new instructor program director, because our founder of 15 years decided to retire. How dare she, but she decided to retire. So we really we'll have 1.5 paid folks, and the rest is all volunteer work. So, you know, we thank our lucky stars. And fundraising, you know, we're a nonprofit. It's ongoing. You know, we shared a little earlier with some of our grants. We are constantly writing grants. We've got an annual appeal that goes out each year. We have reach out to foundations and organizations and companies and things. So we have a variety of folks off the street that support us. We have business sponsorships. So again, variety of income, but that's what keeps us going, and that's what allows us to provide. 90% of the folks that come through our doors do not pay anything. Probably shouldn't make that too loud, but that's where we want to be. We don't want it to be a burden for anybody. So we try really hard to do all of this with all of our community members to get some monies in our coffers, so that if somebody comes, that we can do what we want to do for you and not have money as an issue. So don't ever hesitate if you have somebody and you think, oh gosh, we couldn't afford that. Please, please, please reach out to us. Yes. And this is just a quick shot of some of our facility. This is the house behind us, and then some of the facility. And we always, on the left there, are just some responses from parents and from schools, because part of that assessment that we do, we always, you know, ask people for some statements, kind of thing. So it just sort of, again, gives us a good feeling of how people view us and what we want to do better the next year. And then we can just move on. So we've got about 6 or 8 little beautiful photos that will just kind of keep going, that you can take a look at, that just will make you go, ah. So we'll do those, and then we'll do a quick question and answer.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, think about them, and we'll get a volunteer.
How many horses do you have?
We have, our previous instructor and founder had some of her own personal horses that she would bring, 2 to 3, and they were all older horses. And then we usually lease horses from the community. So we usually have a running herd each summer of maybe 5 or 6 sort of thing. And they're all, you know, like 20 and older kind of thing, because we want them, quiet, they've been there, done that, they're not going to be upset about anything. So that's sort of the basis of who we have. And then any of the horses, they have to go through basically a desensitizing program. And it's just that all of the kind of fun things that we do, where we have noodles, or we might have colored lights, or we might have music, or there may be a rider that may have an outburst of some sort. So we make sure that the horses have had experience with all of that. So it's like, oh yeah, I know what that is, no big deal kind of thing. So again, 5 or 6 horses, older horses, and then horses that are trained to be able to accept what we do.
How long are the sessions?
They're an hour. We try to make it, we say an hour, but it's always so much fun that it always goes over an hour. But basically, once a week is a typical, we do 6 or 8 week sessions. So if somebody signs up, it's usually a 6 or an 8 week session. But again, we are very, very flexible. So sometimes if people can only make it for 4, by the 4th session, there's already people have already felt it, kind of thing. They felt the magic. So 2, it might be too short, it might be an introduction, but clearly if somebody had 4 weeks and said, boy, I'd like to try this, that would be fine. But typically we go 6 or 8 weeks, once a week. We do have a high school program at Rutland High that does sort of an alternative program at the end of each school year, and they come for 8 straight days. And those are kids that they are not developmentally delayed, but they have been through the ringer by the time they get to high school. I mean, life has been really, really challenging, and all of them have been referred by their counselors. And it's just amazing where we'll have them come in, and the hoodie, it's like 90 degrees out, and the hoodie is on, and the hoodie is over here, and I'm not taking my hoodie off. And it's like, great, we can put the helmet on top of the hoodie, all good. And then this same child that, the bangs are down to here. So we're basically hiding from the world and not trusting the world. And all of a sudden, they just want to spend so much time with that horse. And, the hoodie starts to unzip a little bit. And all of us, there is no goal, but all of us feel so good, because at the end of the 2nd year, she decided to come back on her own the 2nd year. And that blinking hoodie came off, and she was wearing a t-shirt at the farm. So it sounds like nothing, but to be able to take off that thing that is protecting you and feel comfortable and feel like you can trust this environment was huge. So once a week, typically.
Year round?
No, we are seasonal, unfortunately. We only have a stunning outside ring. So we really run. By the end of by sort of February, we'll get our 2025 applications up. You can always go online and either contact us through programs at Rainbow Riding, or we will have the 2025 applications up, and there will be a military application, so if you're doing it that way, go through that. But also just contact us if you have any questions. But then we usually, if the Vermont weather holds out for us, mid-May until the end of October is our running session. So please, anybody in your family, you are welcome to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So I grew up with horses, and my last horse became a therapy horse.
Yay!
And it was a long time ago, and I said Splash, and I would check on him every now and then, and I guess he went to school.
Oh.
So I really believe in the program.
Wonderful, thank you. We cry at least once a week at all the wonderful things that happen, so.
Happy tears.
If you're a crier, come and volunteer.
No, it's great. And not to put you on the spot, Diane, but there's other equine facilities in the state as well, correct?
Yes. Vermont Adaptive, which is based in Killington, works with a facility in Taftsville, and I believe they only do military programs. And then there's another one, I think it's in Sharon.
Rhythm of the Rain.
Yeah, and they're another one that specifically has a specific military program.
Great, thank you. So some equine therapy opportunities throughout the state. Thank you, ladies. Great. At this time, I'm going to transition to, yes.
What was that second one that you said?
Rhythm of the Rain, REIN.
There are other ones, I don't know whether they only do, High Horses is another one. That's a larger facility, and then there's one Champ, which I believe is Chaplain Adaptive.
Yeah, that's in, I think, north or south
Farther up.
here. I just wasn't sure if those last two had a specific military program.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good to see you. Thanks for coming.
So I have a co-host today.
You win.
Yes. I was gonna leave her over there, and I'm like, nah. She's a carrier baby. This is Emmett.
Hey, I got 5 granddaughters, I can take care of it.
So,
She'll be speaking French after
her dad speaks French too, so it works. Samantha Fontaine. I am a 200-hour registered yoga teacher through Yoga Alliance, but also I am a soldier in the Vermont Army National Guard. I did 10 years of active guard and just recently resigned to that position, and now I am M-Day, 1 week in a month, that whole fun thing, so that's been an interesting transition. I got my yoga certification last May, and all last school year I taught high schoolers at Essex and Milton High School, and now I teach a lot more when I have childcare. So if you want to switch to the next slide, Rob. Today we're going to go over a couple of things. What is yoga, some of the common types of yoga, the benefits, and then I'll open it up for questions. I swear it's not going to be done by PowerPoint, I promise. Next slide, please. So what is yoga? There are textbooks and ancient scrolls of what yoga is. So today is a very basic westernized definition. So yoga, essentially the word itself means union. So typically the yoga is a union of breath and movement and your spirit through postures, which are in Sanskrit called asanas, and breathing techniques and meditation. So it kind of depends what you're doing, but typical yoga kind of meshes them all together. And it aims to create that harmony, I can't even talk today, harmony and balance between your mind, body, and your spirit. So again, this is a very basic westernized definition. So don't hang on me if you know that yoga is a million more things. There's schools for it, so yeah, next slide. All right, so some common types of yoga that you may have heard of. Hatha yoga is kind of the stereotypical yoga. It's the postures, the poses, and breathing to promote balance and flexibility. Vinyasa is the style that I teach mostly, so it's the postures and poses, but there's a lot more flowing. So you'll hear, people say flow through or flow with me. If you hear someone say, oh, I'm going to go to a Vinyasa flow class. Vinyasa, it's all the postures that you can think of, but usually the transition between each posture is a little bit more fluid. Restorative yoga is a fantastic option, and I'll talk a little bit more about the yoga that is around for veterans, people suffering with PTSD, trauma-informed, all of that. Restorative yoga, you typically in a 60-minute class might do 4 postures because you hold each one for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. So you get comfy with all sorts of props and bolsters and blocks, and then you sit there for 10 to 15 minutes to really allow that posture to reap its benefit. Hot yoga used to be called Bikram yoga. Most places have removed Bikram from their title because he's kind of been canceled. So you'll hear hot yoga, and that's typically 105 degrees. And they usually go through a certain sequence of postures. A lot of the yoga I teach is at a studio that's heated, which is like 96 degrees, so it's not the hot yoga at 105. So there is a difference between hot yoga and heated yoga. Ashtanga yoga is a set sequence of postures. So every class you go to, it's going to be the same postures, the same sequence every single time. It's much more, I'd say, militant. There's a lot of discipline in doing the same postures every single time, and it builds endurance. So you might start going in a series and they start the class a little bit slower, and then after, let's say a 6-week series, you're doing it a lot faster. So Ashtanga is a very specific style. I'm not trained in Ashtanga, It's not my thing. Kundalini is a lot less about the postures. It's more about the breathing techniques and the meditation and awakening that spiritual energy. Now those are like the common styles if you're going to be looking for a certain class. And then I put at the bottom other styles. So there's basically any style you could think of. But some other common ones are chair yoga or lower mobility yoga, kids yoga, yin. Yin is basically restorative, but you don't hold the postures as long. So there's a little bit more flow in there. So really, there's this type of yoga basically for whatever you want. Vermont, we have, we're with like a lot of things. We're kind of a dry area with certain things. So yoga, depending on what you're looking for, we might not offer it here. There might not be a studio, but you can find anything on YouTube, basically, or Google. But those are just the common types of yoga. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. Benefits. Again, just like what is yoga, you could fill textbooks about the benefits of yoga. For today's purpose, I put a bunch of them up there. And some of the common ones are, stereotypically people think, oh, yoga and flexibility. So yes, with continued use, it can encourage and promote flexibility. It can improve your posture. So a lot of the physical things, it can move the lymphatic system around and help drain lymphatic fluid and all those fun things. It can improve your digestion. It can help you sleep better. Depending on when you do it, what kind you do. There's a lot of yoga practices or little sequences, like 10, 15, 5-minute ones you can do before bed that can improve your sleep. Not hers so much. But then a lot of the things, especially when dealing with veterans or trauma-informed yoga, it can help with anxiety and depression and symptoms of PTSD, because it allows you to tap into a more mindful space in your brain, which in the beginning can be really scary. A lot of people can't sit there for 10 minutes and not do anything, depending on what their symptoms are. It's like trying to think of the right thing to say there and not sound offensive. So really depending on who you are and what you're looking for, going to a traditional yoga class might not be the best thing, because if the teacher's like, okay, and we're gonna lie here in our final resting posture for 5 to 10 minutes with your eyes closed in silence, that can be really scary for some people to be in silence in their own thoughts for 10 minutes. So depending on what you're looking for, finding a class that's specific for trauma or PTSD. There's a program called Veterans Yoga Program, VYP. They offer one class in Vermont in White River. My goal eventually is to have a class in the more Chittenden County area through myself, just not there yet. A little bit busy with this creature here. So, but you want to find, if that's something that you need, you want to find a place that offers a specific yoga for trauma-informed, so you're not put in a position where it could make you have an episode or make things worse for you in that moment. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent there. Plenty of other benefits of yoga, so body awareness and lowering your blood pressure. It enhances circulation, so depending on who you are and if you've got like poor circulation in your hands, fingers, things like that. And it can also build self-control, but also self-confidence. So one thing that I love about yoga, and when I was working with high schoolers, I really tried to push this, because as adults it's one thing, but also as teenagers, everybody's caring about the person to their left and right. And yoga is really about yourself, you on your mat or in your little space. And I really always would push that with my high schoolers, that, for this next 30 minutes, 60 minutes, try not to look to your left and right. Look up at me if you need help with a posture, but ignore your friends, ignore your peers, because yoga is about yourself. It's not about everybody else. Yes, there's beautiful postures on Instagram, Facebook. As a yoga instructor, sometimes I post myself in pictures of myself in a posture, because you got to get the client base going and you got to get yourself in that algorithm. But really, Instagram yoga is beautiful and it serves a purpose, but that's not what it's about. It's more about yourself in your own mind, being in your own body, versus like, oh my gosh, look at this crazy thing I'm doing, I'm twisted up like a pretzel. which is amazing, and that's awesome. I can't do arm balances. I'm really not good at the headstands, handstands, and there's some people that do insane things upside down. Awesome. Love it for them. It's not my thing yet. So, you know, that's one of the big things I love about yoga is you can come to a class and you know what, you can sit in child's pose the whole entire time, and that's great. And as a teacher, I'm like, awesome. Hey, you were here and you were doing your own thing. So that's one of the things I love about yoga on the less physical side is it just allows you to tap into what your body needs in that moment, and really feel like you have control over what you're doing. Some other resources, like I mentioned, YouTube. The best thing I think is to find a studio or a teacher that you like, because there's nothing that can compete with in person. But if it's not something that's offered in Vermont, or you know what, hey, I just have 10-15 minutes, YouTube. I did a whole year, like 365 days during COVID, where I did a YouTube video every single day. And that was before I got my certification, so I wasn't comfortable creating my own flow, my own sequences. And also sometimes for me as a teacher, it's nice to have somebody else tell me what to do. Like, I don't want to think. But YouTube can be an amazing resource because there's also a wide range of teachers that have various body types, various things, genders, identities. You can always find somebody that is going to work for you if you don't have that here in Vermont. Because again, Vermont is kind of tricky, especially if you're not in Chittenden County. It depends on what is offered. Yeah, that's kind of my long-winded spiel about some things. I'm on a few tangents, but again, Veterans Yoga Project is amazing, and I'm hoping to bring a class up to Chittenden County area for them. I'm currently working on my next round of certification, which includes trauma-informed yoga and chair yoga, because that's one thing, especially with veterans, that I get asked for a lot. On the 24th, I believe, it's a Thursday of October, I'm doing the ladies' night up at Josh's house in Colchester for the female veterans and spouses of veterans, and doing yoga with them. So if there's any female veterans or spouses of that want to join in on that, that's at Josh's house on Thursday the 24th, I believe. Yeah, any questions? Sorry, I kind of went all over the place here, because yoga is all over the place.
For somebody that's never participated in any type of yoga, how many sessions on average do you think it would take for them to start noticing some of those benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you could get some immediate benefits from one class. You know, it's kind of like the first time you take a sip of caffeine or something, you know. You're going to feel some immediate benefits, maybe just mindfulness for that hour. Or maybe you're like, ooh, I feel a little bit limber because I, you know, was sore. For some of the more long-term benefits, you know, it's kind of like any habit where maybe after like a month you feel certain ones, and then after a year you feel other ones. But you could feel certain benefits instantly. It just kind of depends on which benefit. But definitely, you know, the more you do it, the more you're gonna benefit from it. And even 30 minutes is fine. You know, some people are like, you have to do at least a 60-minute class every day, or, you know, 3 times a week. You know, even like 30 minutes. Sometimes I just have like 10 minutes, especially having a little one, and I have an 8-year-old as well. Like sometimes I'm like, I just need 10 minutes to myself. It is just 10 minutes, but it's something. Or even just sitting there and breathing. Yeah.
I know that.
That's at Josh's house. Do you have your participants have to bring their own mat?
No, I will have up to 15 that I can bring, and then they have some at Josh's house as well.
Do you have a studio? Do you have a website?
So right now I'm just on social media, working on creating my own LLC website, all that stuff eventually. I teach mostly at Soulshine Studio, which is on Susie Wilson in Essex, and then they have a Church Street Burlington studio. That's the studio I teach at mostly, but I do also, I taught at Smugs all summer, and I was at the Fairfax Community Center. They're about to do renovations, so it's a little bit weird. I unexpectedly became a stay-at-home mom this summer, so I'm diving into yoga being more of my focus, because like I said, I was full-time guard for 10 years, so it was my side thing to help with recruiting in the high schools. So I'm kind of figuring things out, and hopefully by like next summer or by the next time we do one of these, I'll have like, okay, and here's me, here's my website. But Jess has my information, and I'm definitely available if there's any time anybody wants like a private class or like a small group class. That's always something I can tailor it to specifically. And like I said, I'm working on my training for low mobility, chair, and trauma informed. So if it's that kind of a group, I can absolutely work on making that happen. Any other questions?
I'll be talking to you.
Oh yeah, team building, I'm all for it. And like I said, I used to do high schoolers. I did 50 teenage boys, so I can kind of deal with quite the spectrum of individuals. So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. All right. So now we're going to transition to introducing our state chaplain and talking a little bit about the benefits of tapping into one's faith.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's like the royal treatment, getting my chair pulled out. So, I don't know how I follow up Sam and her baby, but I'll try. Super cute over there, and but it's great hearing all the stories so far, and especially Riley and Johnny. And as a former special education teacher, hearing those types of stories are pretty awesome. And so keep doing the good stuff. I wanted to talk just for a few minutes about spiritual readiness. And I want to ask the question, as a teacher, former teacher, I guess, I'm going to come out here because it's what I do when I was teaching high schoolers. All right, so everybody in the room, raise your hand if your spiritual beliefs or your spiritual practices have changed since you were a kid. My guess is most of us, right? Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of times, you know, you'll be taught certain things, certain spiritual practices, certain spiritual beliefs when you were a child, and then as you grow up, you hit those teenage years and you hate the world sometimes, and you know, you kind of reject everything that you were taught, and you experience life. But sometimes in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or later, you start thinking about, well, you know, I remember back when, you know, and you start thinking about those spiritual practices that you had when you were younger. And so I wanted to talk about kind of the Army's view of spiritual readiness. How many people have heard of holistic health and fitness? Military members should probably raise their hands on that, but yeah. So it's a program that the Army's put together, and it has 5 pillars. And it's really designed to help soldiers think about these different areas of their life that will help them in a time of crisis, or if they're going, you know, if they're going through a rough time. We have mental readiness. I know that's a big emphasis in this group here. Sleep readiness. Sam mentioned the importance of sleep a little bit and how yoga can help with that. Nutritional readiness. I talked with Danny earlier about how important the diet is, and there's also physical readiness as a soldier, obviously, but also the 5th pillar is spiritual readiness. And so what the Army does that I really like is that they don't look at spiritual readiness as simply just, well, you need to go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque. It's really individualistic. Similar to what yoga is. You know, I really appreciated what she said. It's like whatever you want to get out of yoga, kind of. That's my takeaway, at least. You know, go in and get it. And so the same is true for their spiritual readiness. It has to do with a sense of connection that gives life meaning and purpose. And so I think all of us can probably come alongside that definition and be like, well, yeah, I want my life to have meaning and purpose. And so as a former high school teacher, I saw a lot of students, a lot of my students, they didn't have kind of the spiritual wherewithal. They knew that their life was a little empty, to use that word, but they weren't sure what they were looking for. And so spirituality is one piece of that pie. So the spiritual dimension applies to all people. You can be religious, you can not be religious, you can go to a church or synagogue or mosque or other faith community, or you can just do things on your own. I would take walks down the hallway when I was a teacher with one of my fellow teachers, and we were talking about, he's a Vermonter, grew up here his whole life and out in the woods in Wheelock in the Northeast Kingdom. And I said, well, what are your beliefs? Because he knew I was a chaplain. He goes, well, I don't really go to church, I don't do any of that stuff, but I really love walking in the woods. I'm like, well, that's awesome. And so for him, that was a point of emphasis in his spiritual life, right? And so it can be as simple as taking a walk in the woods. It's really about identifying one's purpose. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What is your vision of life? All of these have to do with your spiritual readiness. And the more we practice spirituality in our own lives, the more we're able to face those difficult times in life, those hard challenges. I'm endorsed through a Baptist organization, and so my theological beliefs, my spiritual readiness has to do with the Christian worldview. And so there's certain things that I practice in my spirituality that are going to help me overcome some of life's challenges, right? And so it can be kind of big questions in life. Why are we here? What's the meaning? What's the purpose? Or it can simply be not yelling at my kids when they're bickering in the back and fighting each other, right? If anybody has kids, you know how that can happen. It's like, all right, God, you're just going to have to get me through this, because little Johnny, that's my son's name, little Johnny's just going at it, pushing buttons. So it can be as simple as that, our spiritual practices. These spiritual elements enable us to build inner strength. They make meaning of our experiences. They help us behave ethically. They help us persevere through the challenges that we face, and we're all going to face those. And of course, it's going to help us be resilient, because adversity is coming our way. Whether you're in the military or not, I think everybody in this room understands that we're helping people. I think everybody in this room is in the helping profession, it seems like. And so we're in the business of helping others through the hard times in life. And so if we can look at spirituality and really encourage them not to get all preachy, right? Not to say you need to believe X, Y, and Z, but you can encourage them, well, what really helps you? What gives you meaning and purpose in your life? How can I help you in that walk, right? It's as simple as that, so that they can have spiritual readiness. If anybody would like a flyer, I printed off some, I'll put them in the back. But there's just a few of the spiritual practices. Meditation, it can go with yoga, or it cannot go with yoga. One of my good chaplain friends is practicing Buddhist, and so he meditates a lot. And so that really helps him. He's a great guy. Other times it's reading. Right? As a Christian, I'll read the Bible. Right? Other people will read other religious texts. So what is it that you could incorporate now? Might be a little devotional on your phone. Right? Those little things that it might not seem like a lot, but if you do it every day, it starts to build that spiritual readiness that is so important in our lives. And of course, I'll just mention prayer as well. It doesn't have to be a huge prayer. You can just say, help me God, or try to connect with the divine in your own life. Whatever's going to help you overcome the adversity. And so I'll leave these in the back. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just want to encourage you, as people who are helping other people, right? Spiritual health, spiritual readiness is really important. And if there's anything that unit ministry teams in the state can do for any of you, please let me know. I've included my number on the bottom of this, just so you'll have it. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not as cute as the baby, I understand that.
She does.
Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Captain. At this time, we are going to take a 15-minute break and return back here to allow those of you here to network, help yourself to the refreshments in the back. Those on the call, please hang tight and mute your line, and we'll be back at about 11:18. we shall get started, and I'm probably going to butcher the name of this. It is Auricular. Does that sound right, Beau? All right. Auricular ear therapy. Our special guest today is Beau to explain more on this really interesting topic. Welcome, Beau.
Auricular ear therapy, it takes a while to get that down, is doing ear acupuncture to the ear. There is over 250 points in the ear that will do the whole body. The auricular ear therapist does not have to do your body. You can do the patient sitting down. Do it that way. I had classrooms of people come in, and I'll go from one person to the other. And what I like to try doing first, if this is something that people want to try, is I don't know if anybody's heard of the polka or the nada 5-needle acupuncture, where you learn 5 needles for the drug and alcohol, for the drugs and alcohol and mental health. I did that for a long time. And then I became auricular ear therapist, which meant I could go from 5 points to doing all 250 points. All the different protocols that were available. I've been at Josh's house since a little after they opened, and on Wednesdays and Sundays I am busy. I have, in 2 years' time, I have usually done 700 veterans and 150 civilians. And I do make house calls for veterans. There's a picture that'll be coming up. A picture of a World War II and Korean War veteran that I do ear acupuncture to. If you look, you'll see the needles in his ears. And
next slide, please.
So he lives in Ferrisburg, so it's a little bit of a hike for me. I've been to Springfield, Vermont also, but it's very consuming, very tiring and consuming. I enjoy doing this. How I got into this was I've experienced all the trauma, everything imaginable you can possibly think of. My father was a Korean War veteran, Navy, that committed suicide. I know all the horrors that the family go through, all the trauma that they go through. And for years I tried to find a way to get out of this mess of stuff in my head. And I finally tried 5-needle acupuncture, and for the first time in my life, screaming stopped in my head. It stopped everything, all that crap, that stuff that keeps bringing, echoing and echoing, putting yourself down, stopped. It was just pure relief. And I just, of course, tears coming down my eyes, just relief. And I wanted to know what I had just experienced. And at the time I was a master plumber in Vermont. I still am a master plumber in Vermont. So I went back to school, and I now do it now, and I volunteer with it for the veterans at Josh's house because I know what they're going through. And also, as we age, how our body changes, there's treatments that I can do for that. Severe depression, anxiety, yes. I've been very, very fortunate. I have 3 people that come in for TNJ. I've been very successful doing that. That's what I do. This is the older gentleman. This is Mickey and Nora. Mickey and Nora. Mickey is the World War II veteran. He also served in the Korean War. And as you can see, the needles in both of them. He's a believer. So he's one of my oldest. He's 97. He's my oldest patient currently. This right here, I don't know if anybody knows the older man. That is Lloyd Goodrow, retired Lieutenant Colonel. Good. You do? And his son, he comes every week. His son has autism. And when I treat him with it, it helps him also. This is my supervisor, the woman who gave me the gift. And I'm just very, very thankful for her. And there is, I brought some brochures from Josh's house. On it you will see a picture of Josh. On the top, to the right, they're doing fly tying, I think. And they're doing pool. But at 5 o'clock, that's me doing ear acupuncture. So we've got the weight room, the guitars, and the bike. That's what a lot that Josh has to offer. Does anybody have any questions?
So in simple terms, what is the science behind when you use that type of acupuncture? What is it connecting to help you throughout your body?
Directly to the brain.
Okay.
So,
the
because I can,
endorphins and
correct, I have, you see the brochure there?
yeah.
You'll see that there are points there for the brain that I can use to help with the trauma and what are different areas. And this works for 75 to 85% of people. So, yeah. And I have some people I see 3 times a week because their situation is so severe.
That much. That's amazing.
Is the placement of the the same for everybody? Or are you doing certain points based on their own individual situation?
An ear is like a fingerprint. Everybody's ear is different. You can look at an ear and you can see what has happened to them by the ear. If they broke a leg, you can actually see how the leg has been affected. I look at the ear and I can tell what has been affected. First I ask the person standing in front of me, the way the person stands, I can tell the person's body, if he's standing straight, tilting, dipping down. That gives me a general idea of what we were going to be talking about as therapist to patient. And it's turned into a big thing now, not in Burlington yet. If you were to go to get it done in an acupuncture business, they would charge you the rate of the full body acupuncture, which is anywhere from $85 to $120. Then, if you want auricular ear therapy afterwards, you would pay anywhere from $40 to $85 additional. So it's 2 different things. Full body acupuncture and auricular ear acupuncture are not the same thing. Not at all. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious if there were other people that provided this around the state in different places. And you mentioned TMJ. My son suffers from Lyme disease and has terrible TMJ, so I'm very interested in learning how this could help him.
Sure. I'm currently the only one in Vermont that does this. And I have just passed my teaching certificate, so I'm going to be teaching people how to do this. So yes, right now I'm busy.
Any other questions for Beau on this interesting topic?
I've had it done before.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I always wonder, because all those trigger, all those points in the ear, how do you know where to get just that right one? You know, the ear isn't that big.
I wear magnifying glasses with the light. Because that's how those points are. And that's the only way you can see it is by the magnifying up close and magnifying it. That's when you see them. That's the only way. You can't, with your visual eye, you can't.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Beau.
I was going to show this.
Oh,
This
cool.
is the ear. This is the baby's head here, the spine, the legs, everything, and the arms. You will see it on a piece of paper that's been passed out, the representation of it. And when we're growing up as a child, we hear everything and feel everything that our mother is going through. So we already know that. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Next up, Susan Demers is going to talk to us about the Patriot Project Chiropractic Program, or chiropractic care.
Good morning. My name is Susan Demers. I'm the Transition Assistance Advisor with Vermont. So a little bit about what I do. I work with service members and veterans by directing and navigating them through all of their benefits. So think of me as the Google. But today we're going to be talking about chiropractic care. Next slide, please. So as many of you know that TRICARE does not cover chiropractic care. And the Patriot Project is a grassroots movement to provide chiropractic care to all active duty military, their families, wounded warriors, and Gold Star dependents. So what they wanted to do is make it so service members can use chiropractic care instead of automatically jumping to medication or having been cut open for surgery. So who's eligible? So TRICARE families, active duty, Gold Star families, and wounded warriors. So there's about 10,000 chiropractors that are registered with the project. So what does that mean? They can't charge you for the chiropractic care if you go to one of their offices that are part of the project. So what you do is, next slide please, sorry. You log on to thepatriotproject.org. You just register, put your information in there, and then you can search based on your zip code. So depending on where you live, depends on who is part of that project. Now, like I said, this is nationwide. So there's over 10,000 registered chiropractors. If you go to them, they legally cannot charge you for the care if they're part of the project. Now, if you decide to go through your insurance, that is a completely different ballgame. So if you decide to go with one of the chiropractors enrolled with the project, like I said, they can't legally charge you for the chiropractic care as long as you are eligible. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you know of any facilities here locally?
The last time I checked, there were about 7. I haven't checked in a couple months, so I don't know if any of that has changed. But if you guys do know any chiropractic offices that would be interested in being involved, I have more flyers at my office, so I can definitely give that to you. And I have the executive director's email address, so I can always contact her. And if any of you or any of the service members that you give this information to, if they have any issues getting in with the ones that are registered, let me know and I can reach out and help facilitate that. Yeah.
Veterans too?
As long as they're on TRICARE.
And is there a limit to each chiropractic office?
That depends on the office. So I can't say they only see 5 or 10. That depends on them. They may tell you I can only take 2, or they say that there is no limit. But it all depends on the office. Sure.
Yeah. How do they verify eligibility? Is that on our website or?
Yep. All that information is on there. As long as you, so when you go, you'll show them your insurance card. Obviously, TRICARE is tied in through your military ID. Any other questions? Do you have a question?
So you have to be enrolled in TRICARE if you do this, but don't use your insurance. So you're saying.
Because TRICARE is not going to cover it anyway.
So that's your eligibility is TRICARE?
Yes. Yep. Or if, obviously if you're 100%, you're going to be getting chiropractic care through the VA because the VA will cover it. Any other questions? Oh. Well, I said it.
You could have said like, hey, helpful too.
But if you're 100%, the VA will. Through them, not through this. Right. Great. Any other questions?
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I'm going to have some daily programs representatives talk about kitchen spoons and combat boots and how their initiative helps with resiliency.
Look very nice today,
Doing my job. What are you doing?
Our jobs.
All right, so you can start talking.
Okay, so we are the Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots team. I'm Jessie Smith. I'm currently acting as the host for the podcast.
I'm Scott Bushy. I do a lot of the administrative stuff. We also meet once a month before the release of our podcast to just kind of talk about ideas, topics, and things moving forward.
And I'm Dan McInerney, sorry, doing technical and audio at the same time. Yeah, we started Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots back in, well, the podcast portion of it back in February. A little history on Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots. It was made a long time ago, not so long ago. Sorry, Marcy. But it's been quite a transition. It started out from doing actual cooking in the kitchen and doing crafts for veterans, and then it transitioned into more of like a PowerPoint presentation where we shared good information. But it was hard for people to get together, you know, at 7 p.m. on a weeknight sometimes. So attendances weren't low, but the information was great. So everything was recorded and shared. And then trying to keep up with the digital era, we decided to transition into a podcast. And with the help of Germ, everybody here, Miriam and Marcy, a lot of support. It's really come a long ways. You can see, well, I'm going to play a little clip for us in a few minutes, but yeah, we talk about different events that happen throughout the year, if you want to touch on some of those.
Yeah, so we've done a few things from financial advice with Megan. We've talked about the Military Appreciation Night, things that we can offer in that arena. More recently, we've talked about how to manage your military career. We have different guests come on. One of our upcoming episodes will have us touching base with some leadership and asking them some questions. But yeah. We haven't introduced one member of the team yet, Jeremiah, who, as he stated, he's doing his job right now. But he is the absolute talent behind this whole thing. So we wouldn't be able to do it without him. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. But yeah, so we're trying to have a lot of fun with it because we know that if we're having fun with it, people will watch it more than if it's just simple and boring. So we're really trying to keep driving it in that direction and make sure that since we do have awesome information that we're trying to put out, that we're putting it out in the best way possible for people to want to receive the information. So that's a little bit about us.
And so I know we don't have a full screen, and we can't put it up on the projector. We're just technical mix-ups. This is kind of what it looks like. Everybody online can see this. It's really clear on their screens, but for us, we have we have our boom mics, we have our table, presenters, and Germ does a really great job. There's Andre on right now. And I'll start the episode so you can kind of get like a little gist of how we start every episode. So let me turn it way up so you guys can hear it. Just make sure it's not like triple speed. And it's not.
Thank you for joining us at Kitchen Spoons and Habits. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Andre, program director for the
I'm a chipmunk.
Sorry, Jesse. So yeah, it's going really fast right now. I'll work on it, but yeah. So we sit with our presenter and we have a good conversation. It was really meant to just be like a conversation piece, and while having a good conversation, also getting through our education and making sure that we meet our bottom line, our vision statement. So.
I've slowed down my speaking today just for you all.
Learning how to talk and learning how to be recorded has definitely been interesting, but it's really doing great things. And this is a shameless plug, VTNG Family Programs on YouTube. That's where you can find us. Facebook as well, VTNG Family Programs. That's where we post all of our content, all of our videos, all of our events. If we have free giveaways, MFCN's there, everything's there. So join our Facebook if you're not on our Facebook. It's amazing. The podcast is making strides. We have an analytics meeting once a month with Germ and Miriam and Marcy, and the numbers are showing everything's going up. We're doing the right thing. So hopefully you guys can log in and tune in and become a part of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we got.
The episodes get released on the first Wednesday of every month.
There you go.
So, and they're up forever, but at the end of that, like the day before the next episode gets released, we just get together and talk about the numbers and other future ideas and stuff like that.
So if you have any ideas that you'd like to see on the podcast, just tell us.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask a question I don't think I heard, or maybe I misheard, because I have artillery ears, as you know. Is there like general topics that you cover, or do you like announce like a topic for that month, or how does it flow topic-wise so that people can anticipate what they're looking for?
So we usually put out some form of advertisement. Germ is really good about making sure that he puts out like a little sneak peek type thing beforehand, so you know what's coming up.
Each episode is its own topic.
Yeah.
We've done stuff for like managing with Megan, managing your finances or paying off like holiday bills and debt and stuff like that. We've done ones where it's like back to school stuff, preparation, things like that. We've done how your military lifestyle affects the youth. We've done MKBT one.
So the big thing is we try to coordinate our podcasts based on what we see in the field that the soldiers are asking for. Holiday time, we do money planning, high stress. During the summer, we have our military appreciation events. So that's a good time for us to put out our military appreciation information. And I fixed it. If you, I can play it just for a few minutes. How we don't have time.
I would say one thing about coming next and all that stuff, we do typically put a screen at the end of each podcast that lists the next 3 episodes. Some of the episodes I've had to cut that because we've had changes coming up in the future and stuff like that, but we usually try to work out 3 months ahead of time what's coming up, what's going to be our guests on that. That way we can start organizing when them to come in, start working on the graphics, and have that up on the episode that just got released so that people will know. Okay. But it does change. I wouldn't say it's the gospel by any means. Don't swear your life by it. It can change. But yeah, we do typically try to put a slide in at the end of each podcast that says what's coming up, where you can find more information. And on our website too, we have all that stuff on the page as well.
The nice thing about this group too is that when we start seeing trends out in the field, casework and stuff, then it's like hey, we're seeing a boost in people needing support in this area, and this group takes that topic and says, you know what, we're gonna put it right into the scheduling. So we try to meet those needs as well along the way, and then sprinkle in the fun.
Right. Like with a deployment coming up, we felt like it was important for the soldiers to meet some of the leadership we have in the Guard, so we decided like our next one is kind of connecting with some of the leadership, and then the one after that is actually going to be an annual closeout with General Knight. So.
Gonna grill them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grill the tag.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask him what his favorite Christmas tradition is. That'll show him. Oh, that was ominous.
Ooh.
Can you mute your speaker off?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll restart it. Sorry.
With me today, I have Jordan Heimhoff. How do you feel the mental health of the Vermont National Guard is right now? That's a good question. I wanted to give them a piece of advice to help them be mentally resilient in the Vermont National Guard.
Take care of yourself, and in every aspect of the work, day in, day out. But actually, go truly advocate for myself, that's really tough to do.
Yeah.
And take a break from devices every now and then. That's why I try to tell people, I don't care how skilled someone is at navigating the troubles of life. Life is going to throw something everyone's way at some point.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our podcast.
So that's kind of, you can go ahead and fix your Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. We start with a recap in the beginning. We found that's a good way to get people to stay to watch it because they can see what's going on. And then, once they're hooked, then we just go into the conversation. So, yeah, that's kitchen spoons and combat boots. And VTNG family programs. Follow us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would encourage you all to look at the past episodes, and when they're talking about military appreciation, that's a special one. Jesse and I went out to Centennial Field and had a guest speaker. I'll let you think about who that guest speaker may be. Super fun. But this team has been doing such amazing work and taking something that was an initiative that turned into webinars to just doing recording over PowerPoint and then making it into something even bigger that our military affiliated individuals can connect with has been just tremendous. So thank you. And like Danny said, if you're not already in tune, please check it out. So at this time, that concludes all the scheduled briefings on holistic therapies. I'd love to open the floor if anyone has any announcements or program information sharing. What's going on in your neck of the woods? Hi, Chris.
Yeah, hey. So we have 6 VETS town halls this fall. These are events where veterans are invited to speak about what their service means to them. All community members, non-veterans included, are encouraged to come and listen, and the goal is to increase understanding between vets and non-vets in the community. We're starting in Bristol on October 24th. And then moving on to events in Rutland, Colchester, St. Johnsbury, South Royalton, and Brattleboro. Those are in early to mid-November. I have flyers and posters out on the table. Please take them and share them, and any and all help getting the word out is very much appreciated. And just let me know if you have questions. My contact information is also on those flyers. You can get in touch with me through the website.
Thank you, Kristen. I also have the minutes that go out. I'll include that because Kristen sent that to me as well, so you can have the dates and locations. Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone online?
Is anyone online like to share anything? All right, there's an AAR that I would like everyone to fill out. If you don't have one in front of you, please let us know. We'll get one there. Those on the call, there will be a link for you to do virtually when I email everybody out the minutes. please fill it out. Friendly reminder for those in the room, if you did not do the sign-in sheet on your way in, if you could please let us capture that. I want to make sure that we have up-to-date email addresses and to make sure that I know everybody that was here. And then unless anyone has anything on the call, this concludes this meeting. The next one is not until March 12th, since we usually have a weather challenge during the winter. So March 12th, and the topic is on prevention, and I definitely am looking for guest speakers. So if your program offers support regarding prevention, which is a very broad spectrum, please let me know. Kudos to my team, my fabulous tech guys over here, Jesse for your help supporting organization for today's guest speakers, all of our guest speakers that came, thank you, and thank you to our director. Have a great day.
Thank you.